The much anticipated April 2nd Nintendo Direct has finally happened. And before we can dabble into any negativity, please let me express some gratitude that sometimes your dreams can come true. But if your dearest dreams can come true, so too can your weird dreams, your uncomfortable dreams, perhaps even your stupid dreams. With that understood, here are my 5 hot takeaways from the first ever Switch 2 Direct. Hot takeaway number 1, I don't love the debut of Nintendo's first pay-to-press button. Now, you might think I would come in here riding high on calling out the Donkey Kong game. It's coming. It is, and I must say this again, Donkey Kong's time. But in that very same video, I also said this: all the true freaks know that the real freaky shenanigans begin with this freaky, mysteriously unlabeled freak button. And unfortunately, we now know that was the C button. And it's not for freaks, it's for this.
Hey, what's up? Can you hear me? Hello?
Hi.
The C button initiates
Game chat.
what could have been assigned to the home menu has its own special button. Now, as an introverted person who is repulsed by the imagery, it would have been easy enough to just ignore it. However, there is one thing that doesn't sit right with me. So group chat will be free until March 31st of next year. After that point, it will be an exclusive feature that is included with Nintendo Switch Online, which costs $19.99 US a year. And I mean, for perspective, that is 1 month of Game Pass Ultimate, so it's not that bad, but the fact is, the Switch 2 will have a whole button on it that you will have to pay to use. There's A and B and X and Y here. These are free. C comes with a yearly fee. L and R and ZL and ZR and GL and GR free. C not free. Hot takeaway number 2. I just saw some of the worst looking Nintendo games I've seen in ages. Nintendo is a powerhouse of game design. Yes, but more importantly, a powerhouse of IP generation. When they start a franchise, you know it's going to be around for years to come. And so I ask, with genuine confusion, what's the deal with Drag Drive? Clearly it's made first and foremost to be a game that proves the viability of dual mouse controls. But how can it possibly look this bad? Look at the pyrotechnics that go off when you hit a 3-pointer. Look at this desolate arena. I don't get it. And still, I don't want to be too hard on it because 1, there simply must be more to this, but also 2, you don't want to be making fun of the only game with wheelchairs you've seen Nintendo ever make. You know what I mean? It's like when you say Snow White seems really bad and somebody says, yeah, because of the race swapping. And you're like, no, because of all the other reasons. However, I cannot possibly feel bad making fun of Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour. And hold on, I do feel like we need to talk about how, since the year 2020 when the PlayStation 5 launched, it came preloaded with this little game called Astro's Playroom, where you can learn about the features of the PlayStation 5 through excellent platforming challenges and silly songs. It's just a fun, memorable way to open up your console and have a good time. In contrast, here's Nintendo Switch 2 Welcome Tour, which looks like something that could have run in a web browser 15 years ago. Here you can awkwardly, jankily try to sink putts holding your Joy-Con like a mouse, or you could learn how magnets work, or heck, even shake maracas. Now if this was free, I wouldn't waste any breath mocking it. Or at least more than one breath. However, Nintendo expects you to pay for this game. Nintendo would like you to give them money so they can advertise to you the features for the product that you just bought. Which takes me straight to hot takeaway number 3. I can't tell if Nintendo is being cheap or if this is an ominous sign of things to come. Once again, a Mario Kart game with open roaming? That's my dream. A Donkey Kong game about smashing stuff? That's my dream. But unfortunately, a large part of the conversation generated from the Nintendo Direct is how much these games cost. So Donkey Kong Bonanza, just like Tears of the Kingdom, just like a new Assassin's Creed game, is $70. Given its apparent quality, I find that highly acceptable. And there's this long portion of the Direct that is large third-party publishers announcing that their $70 games will finally be available on Switch too. And it is begrudgingly understood. Welcome to the $70 era, Nintendo. But then, unprovoked, Mario Kart World has broken the $79.99 barrier that's been in place for at least 20 years. And to be gross with you, I could stomach $80 for Mario Kart World. Obviously, I'd prefer to get that packed in the $500 Switch 2 version, right? But at the same time, it will eventually be worth it. $80 on Mario Kart is like buying a vacation in the Bahamas for $80. But Super Mario Party Jamboree Switch 2 Edition plus Jamboree TV, $79.99. The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Switch 2 Edition, $79. Kirby, $79. So I'm thinking we will either see this as a moment where Nintendo completely overstepped over the line and they had to reel it back, or perhaps a sign of things to come. And I feel like in the bottom of our hearts, we all know which one it is. We get these stories that publishers are waiting to see if GTA will raise the MSRP ceiling, and it was Nintendo of all companies that bit the bullet. It's like in a zombie game when you get this shorthand environmental storytelling that things were clearly about to go south very quickly. I'm about to go downtown with a can of red spray paint and write Kirby is $80 on the walls. Hot takeaway number 4. Something is not quite hitting with the Duskbloods. It's the second time in 4 months where I've seen a debut From Software game, and I say, yeah. Alright. Could be cool. Anyway, this is the Duskbloods. It's an apparent spiritual successor to Bloodborne that also in some way feels like a mockery of Bloodborne. The truth we learned later is that we were looking at an 8-player PvPvE multiplayer game. Directed by Hidetaka Miyazaki, mind you, but I'm saying that the Duskbloods trailer didn't make my heart beat the same way the Bloodborne trailer did, or Elden Ring did, or even Dark Souls 3 did. Each of those felt like a moment. If you manage to lock down an exclusive game from Software directed by Miyazaki, that should be the easiest slam dunk instant win. And somehow, feels more like a drag drive slam dunk, where Nintendo says cool trick, but you're not sure anything cool actually happened. But maybe this was just a bad early trailer, which leads us to takeaway number 5. Sorry, everyone else. Sakurai alone gets the CG budget. I recently watched through all of the Smash Bros. Character reveal trailers and had an absolute blast. And we know now it was Masahiro Sakurai himself directing and storyboarding all of these trailers, some of which are some of the greatest video game trailers of all time. It's just wild. This is already on top of him being a top-tier game designer and better than me YouTuber. And it was so crazy watching these naturally enthusiastic and exciting videos so soon after watching Metroid Prime 4's dismal trailer from last week.
Samus must scan stone figures and other relics to carve a path forward.
And then in the Switch 2 event, Metroid Prime 4 did appear, but it was sandwiched between an expansion to Kirby and the Forgotten Land and a visually improved but still substantially ugly looking Pokemon Legends ZA. Why can't this poor game get a good trailer? Meanwhile, Kirby's Air Riders was the only game introduced with pure, high-budget CG cinematics. For a reveal trailer, it is far below Sakurai's greatest hits. I just think it's weird that Nintendo only allows this one particular studio to present itself with any sense of CG pageantry. And again, just pointing it out, not necessarily a problem, considering Mario Kart World and Donkey Kong Bonanza represent 2 of the greatest video game trailers we've seen in the 2020s. Considering that, and all the bad stuff, I give the Nintendo Direct a B-. This was a chance for Nintendo to establish a new era of excellence. And we received excellence, but also, perhaps, A harsh awakening to the upcoming economic realities. But also Donkey Kong. And that's it for today. Delayed Input. We'll be back next week, kicking off a brand new season. Until then, thanks for watching. Simple minds. I guess we'll take it one by one, baby, one by one. I think a funny component of this discussion of a game's monetary worth, which, historically I don't like talking about, is the idea of how much you can charge a customer to pay for an upgrade to a game that they already own. My first recollection of this happening was back with the PlayStation 4 launch, when you could pay $9.99 to upgrade your PS3 games into the next gen. But in our current era, it seems like you gotta sweeten the deal to justify that cost. So like with the upcoming Days Gone Remastered, it's not just improved visuals and performance. No, there's new content, like permadeath mode, enhanced photo mode, new accessibility features, speedrun mode, and introducing Horde Assault. All that for $10 if you own the original. So the standard now is, for a game that somebody already owns, if you want them to upgrade to the new generation, you have to add new content. Nintendo kind of demonstrated the difference here, since Pokemon Legends ZA and Metroid Prime 4 are future new releases. They don't need to add new content to be appealing next-gen purchases. They only need to look nicer. You could also scrape this Joy-Con around like a mouse in Metroid, but no new content, right? But when Nintendo creates these upgrade packs for games you may already own, they're stretching to add value. With Mario Party Jamboree, you're getting these new, fundamentally unappealing minigames. With Kirby in the Forgotten Land, you get these new crystals appearing over old levels. And with the Zelda games, Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, both perfect as they are, no new content per se, but the new stuff is all tied into an app within the Switch app called Zelda Notes. Here you can access a GPS that leads you to collectibles, which I think is actually a neat novelty.
Your destination is north of here and close. Your destination is above.
You could pick up brand new audio logs to listen to.
Is this the afterlife?
But most of the features just exhibit this brazen pointlessness.
Add a QR code to share your creations. Once per day, you can spin for a daily bonus. When you scan an amiibo 5 times, you'll get an additional bonus use of that amiibo that you could normally only scan once per day.
And of course, you won't have to pay for these upgrades if you have a subscription to Nintendo Switch Online Plus expansion pack. That's just the reality of being a Nintendo fan. Sometimes you're Booga, sometimes you're Nikita.